What is up, good people of YouTube? Today I am bringing you probably the longest video that I have ever done. Well, yeah, it is the longest video that has ever been uploaded on my channel. I finally got to where I don't have to stick to a 15-minute limit, and I'm not going to make it a habit to make these seriously long videos, but I wanted to upload a full video of some fairly aggressive reconning and talk to you guys about something that has really bothered me, and actually show you another one of these videos where I kind of get some revenge on that guy right there, Sand Devil Cody. Poor little Sand Devil Cody. Now, the match before this, he did kind of fuck me up. He was kind of just hiding in the corner behind the little boathouse area off by the wet dock. And that can be really annoying for someone to just camp that corner constantly. Just stay crouched down behind everything, hiding there with their little, you know, the little head glitch spot and everything. And yeah. And there looks like there's a guy. No, that guy's on our team, I think. I'm sorry, I'm looking at this on like a really small screen for the recording while I'm recording my audio. Anyways, what I'm actually doing right now is I wanted to talk to you guys about the different bolt action rifles and a lot of misunderstandings that I see people have about them. Now, one of the more common misunderstandings I see is what each of them does. Alright, now there's 5 bolt action rifles in this game, and of those 5, 4 of them are almost essentially the same. I mean, they are statistically identical in many ways, with just a few minor different, like, I guess, difference in statistics and everything. Now, first off, every bolt action sniper rifle, I believe, has a 2.0 vertical recoil with no horizontal recoil, which is actually pretty good considering it is a single shot weapon. Now, these are numbers. These are from simtech.com. I actually looked up the stats so I can have a little bit more, I guess, qualification to talk to you guys about this. I actually have a bunch of stats written down from them. Now, from a personal standpoint, the vertical recoil on the J&G just seems to drift a little bit higher. I mean, this is just my opinion, and I have, I think, over 1,600, almost 1,700 kills with the J&G, so I know a little bit about what I'm talking about. I'm not like some of these higher level players. I really wasn't much of a recon player for a long time until just somewhat recently. And I'm not your camping recon. I'd rather stay mobile, because I believe that is the only real way to truly do good on this class, to truly help your team out, is to stay mobile. And this is not the ideal way to run it. With the bolt action sniper rifle, it's the best for picking off ranged targets. It's pretty decent for giving some information to your team with the scope ins and spotting and warning your people and stuff. But yeah, and this really isn't one of my better sniping matches. This is me once again readjusting to the M98B, and I still have some range issues with it and stuff. I'm so used to the J&G, which is just a step down in velocity, and I am really used to like the M40A5, which is a slower traveling bullet. So there'll be a lot of times where you'll see me try and compensate for recoil or for bullet drop where I really don't have to. And for me right there, that's kind of a what the fuck moment. That's where you get a little bit of server lag, and you get behind cover, you turn around, you think you're good, and you die anyway. Now, one of the most important things about Recon, which I've said in other videos, is learning how to place a beacon. On Team Deathmatch, that's not really such a big issue, I would say. It's not something that should really be looked at as like this really hugely like important thing if you're not in a squad of people who want a specific thing. It gives you some control of where you spawn at, but yeah, and most of my guys like to have them out in the open so you can parachute down, and I actually kind of like that too, because if you can parachute down behind someone, you get the drop on them. Now that right there was just a stupid mistake by me. And I'm trying to be a little too aggressive. And it happens a lot with me. I am a very aggressive player. I do not believe in just sitting in the back and sniping at people. Though I have had some matches where I have had to do that simply because I had such an aggressive team that there was no defense going on. Now you see right here, this is kind of where I like to be, but I like to be back there as assault. On Recon, especially with the M98B, you have some limitations to what you can actually do. Now, the M98B, I'm going to go ahead and give y'all the stats on it, as you see the nice little crossbow right there. The M98B has a 46.2 RPM fire rate, which is not on the high side. It's not the lowest, but it's not on the highest. It has the highest bullet velocity with 650 meters per second. So you really don't have to compensate for bullet drop, except for on extreme ranges. And yeah, that's what makes this gun so good, is it is an accurate motherfucker. And it also does the highest damage. It does 95 maximum damage. This is not including headshot modifiers or anything. All the way down to 59 damage. And the drop off is 15 meters to 150 meters, which gives it the longest drop off out of all of the bolt actions. So it doesn't reach its minimum damage until 150 meters out. And according to Simtech, its maximum range is 3,250 meters. Now that, I don't really think has much of a bearing on anything, but you know, it's whatever. On the PlayStation, you can't even see that far. Or at least I can't. I haven't actually tried. My furthest headshot was like 1140 something or 1170 something, and that was just a stroke of luck. The hipfire spread on it is 2.5, which is a bit on the high side. I believe the J&G and the J&G has the same hipfire spread, and the L96 do too. So yeah, I'm looking at this. Oh, and yeah, which means that the other two, they have a little bit better hipfire, which gives them a little bit better in the close quarters direction. So I'm gonna put this book back down before I hurt myself reading all these stats. Essentially, the M98B is your long-range sniper. It is best for picking off longer range targets. It is not your running around sniper, and its biggest drawback is the smaller magazine. You know, where you're gonna miss a couple shots here and there, and the smaller magazine can hurt you there. It is probably the best one to equip with the ballistic scope like that guy did, but if you're like me and you're not a big fan of the campy sniper, then the 8x scope, in my opinion, is probably your best bet. It's like a lot of people say, when you get used to a certain scope, that's the one you should use. When you know that you can hit consistently with a certain scope, use it. Your consistency and stuff really stay up. Now, what else can I say about the M98B? It is just, it's purely a monster. And it is one of my top one of my top favorite weapons to use to get kills with. It's not always practical in the way I use it, but there's a lot of snipers who really make a really good career out of sniping with the M98B. And they make some really nice YouTube videos. Dark Betrayed has some beautiful montages, and he gets some beautiful sniper moments, which anybody who watches Big Mooney's like Battlefield top 10 plays or whatever, Dark Betrayed seems to be on every single episode. So yeah, and what you saw right there is another big thing for Recon, is knowing your secondary weapon. Me, I use almost exclusively either the Magnum or the Rex. And if I'm not using one of those, I'm using the M1911. Why? Because they have higher damage than the other pistols, and I cannot stand 9mm. I have never really liked 9mm, and this is even from when I've had the Beretta M9 with the 15-round clip and all that. I didn't really care for it too much. I would prefer something like a 45 or even the 44 or even a 50 cal handgun. But that's just, I prefer the damage over the capacity. And if you're good with them, then that's what you go with. The Rex is by no means a slouch in close quarters. It's probably one of the fastest killing pistols in the game. And the Magnum is, well, the Magnum's the Magnum. Everybody loves the Magnum simply because you can have your Dirty Harry moments with it. So, yeah. Next on our list will be the JNG 90 with a 46.2 rounds per minute, which is, I believe, the exact same as the M98B. I'm not sure if I wrote that stat down right or wrong. And its bullet velocity is 560 meters per second, which is the second highest out of the bolt actions. It does 80 to 59 damage with a drop off of 15 meters to 100 meters with a 2800 max range, whatever that means, with a 2.5 hip fire spread. So its hip fire spread isn't really as good as some of the others. It's on par with the L96 and the M98B. What makes the JNG my favorite is the balance of the weapon. It has a high bullet velocity, the exact same damage model as two of the other big, like mainly used bolt actions. It's more accurate than your M40A5, and it has the 10 to 11, I think it's a 10 or 11 round clip. So that's where it gets its advantage on the M98B. Just the size of the clip. And you see me do a little bit of the crane camp sniping. I really don't do that too much, but occasionally I will get up there if I play against a team that's used it a lot in either a previous game or they've been using it a lot in this game, and I will get up there and show them exactly how it's done. Granted, like I said, I'm not too good at the patient wait for my target sniping, but this is where this weapon really is at its best, is where you're at a range where you can get the drop on people, you're a little bit more accurate than they are, and yeah. And Sand Devil Cody has finally put up his sniper rifle. He pulls out his Asval. Now you'll see me kill him a lot over there by the barges and stuff. So, yeah. Now back on the JNG 90, it is the second. It's probably the best balanced out of all of them as far as range, power, distance, velocity, and magazine size. But it is not. It's not going to be the best in close quarters, and it's not going to be the best at the distance. Now, moving on to the L96, which is one of the first ones that most people get besides the SV. They get the L96, and a lot of people love this weapon. I can't stand the L96 personally. It fires at a sluggish 43.5 rounds per minute with a 540 meter per second bullet velocity, which is, I believe, the third highest, with a 2700 max range. It does 80 to 50 damage from 15 to 100 meters and has a 2.5 bullet spread. So it is essentially a JNG 90 without the higher bullet velocity and a lower fire rate. So to me, I'm not an L96 fan. There's a lot of people who love that weapon to death, and I've gotten a good amount of kills with it, but it's not one of my favorites, and it's not one that I really use that often by choice unless I'm just screwing around and want a different feel for a different weapon. Now, while I'm on that right there, I should have reloaded my secondary instead of screwing around. And I believe it actually does get me killed here. Nope. Actually, this guy's just stupid and lets me knife him. So, I got lucky there. Now, the L96, I really won't say too much about it. It's not the gun for me, but if you're good with it, you're good with it. It's a patient sniper. It's kind of a campy sniper. It's like an M98B without the range. Next up will be the M40A5 with 54.5 rounds per minute, firing at kind of a sluggish 490 meters per second bullet velocity with a 2450 maximum range. It does 80 to 59 damage. The drop off is 15 meters to 100, and it has a 2.0 hip spread. So it has better hip fire, and it has better hip fire than the other rifles besides the SV98, and it fires a lot faster than the rest of them. The M40A5 on paper is kind of just an average sniper rifle, but it is probably the best for close to mid-range. Now, as far as being the best in close quarters, it's got a fight on its hands with the SV98. I still think it's better. I love the M40A5. It is one of my favorite rifles, but it's not a great long-ranged rifle. You really have to compensate for a lot of bullet drop very quickly. If you're good with it, though, you're good with it. And a lot of people are just specialists with that weapon. I have seen people just surgically pick people apart with it, and it's beautiful. So that is definitely my second favorite or third favorite. It's kind of tied with the M98 right now. The M98 might take its place, though. I don't know yet. I haven't decided. And last but not least is the SV98. This is it's a sniper rifle of a different breed, in my opinion. It fires at 48 rounds per minute, which I believe is the second fastest. It has a bullet velocity of 520 meters per second, which is the second lowest, just above the M40A5. And it has a 2600 meter max distance, which nobody cares about. The damage is 80 to 50, which means it drops off to 9 damage lower than the other ones. And the drop off is 20 meters to 80 meters. So it starts its drop off later, but ends its drop off quicker. And the hip spread is 1.75. So it is a monster with the hip fire compared to the other ones. Its maximum damage carries a little bit further, but its minimum damage is reached quicker. So it's kind of another mid-range to close range sniper, and it is great for close quarters encounters. It is great, a great kind of side grade to the M40A5. I like the M40A5, but the SV98 is nothing to scoff at. It is a great weapon. So now you've heard all the weapon stats and some little talk about that. What annoys me is when I read comments on YouTube where you have the guys that are like, oh well, I prefer the SV98 for the long range encounters, and I like to use my M98B for mid range to close range sniping because it's so much better at mid range to close range sniping, and it's just not so good at long range. You, my friend, are ass backwards on your belief on what these rifles do. So people, please, you know, if you're going to use a weapon and actually comment and talk about it a lot on the community, try and have some way of backing up your statistical knowledge. Now, I've had to explain a lot of statistics to a lot of people I play with as far as sniper rifles, assault rifles, pistols, and even tanking. There you see me get knifed, which has happened a lot lately because I've been playing almost exclusively on Recon, with the occasional engineer thrown in for capture the flag. Anyways, yeah, just get, if you know which weapon you're good with, that's all good. But if you're saying that you're switching up between sniper rifles every day for different situations and you're using them kind of in the wrong situation, then you're kind of making a mistake and you're really hurting yourself. You're doing what I did there. You're staying out in the middle without any cover, which is a mistake. Now, I'll be uploading a lot more aggressive Recon, and I'll be uploading some way better gameplay than this. I just uploaded this one because it gave me some time to talk to you guys about the Recon kit, which has become probably my favorite kit. Now, I'm rounding the last 2.5 minutes of this video, and I just want to ask you guys, what do y'all think? What is y'all's favorite weapons as far as Recon goes? What's your favorite style of Recon to play? And there's no wrong answer to that. If you like to be the campy Recon, that's fine. If you like to be the run and gun Recon, that's cool. If you like to be the guy who runs around with the SV98 shooting for 1,000-meter headshots, then, you know, more power to you, though I doubt you're gonna get them unless you've just used the damn thing so much that you know every aspect of it. There's a lot of snipers who are really good at that. And that right there, that is a nice reactionary shot. When you know the enemy kind of has a drop on you and you can get a shot into them, sometimes it's not necessarily the best thing to try and line up for a headshot. Sometimes you have to get a quick shot into their chest and switch to your pistol. The quick swap to the pistol is probably your best friend on Recon. You get as many kills with the pistol as you do with a rifle if you're getting rushed by people a lot. And that's why I use the higher power pistols. They're a lot more reliable than the other ones. So, yeah. Now, you'll see I spend a lot of time. You'll see me, if I shoot and I miss on a lot of people, I spot them out as soon as I miss. Or you'll see me spot them as I'm shooting. It's because it's teamwork. That's part of being a recon. You have to spot people out for your team a lot of the time. Otherwise, your team is going to be stupid and not know where they're at. And if you're the guy who sits there and scopes in on someone and just watches them kill somebody without trying to warn the people on your team, then you know that's kind of a douchebag maneuver. Anyways, hopefully you guys enjoyed this somewhat educational video where I speak on Recon. I will be sharing a lot more Recon videos, and I will have a lot more strategic videos coming out here pretty soon before I get back to my usual just random trolling videos and some random fun. I just wanted to clear up the air on some of the stuff that I hear about Recon, and I believe I've made my point pretty clear. Hopefully you guys enjoyed this video. Hopefully you guys have not stopped watching it by now, and leave me a comment, leave me a rating, and tell me what you think. Tell me what you think about my ideas and what your thoughts are on Recon and how you believe it should be played. Anyways, hopefully you guys have a nice night, and take care, YouTube.